Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and on this channel we talk about emotional abuse, its connection with spirituality, and we attempt to answer the question, where do we go from here? So if that all sounds good to you, be sure you're subscribed and hit that bell icon so you don't miss a thing. So today we're talking about one of those where do we go from here topics, and it's something that so many of us deal with in the aftermath of these relationships. What I'm talking about is over-explaining ourselves. And if you have this problem in the aftermath of a relationship with a narcissist, there's a good chance you may have had a little bit of it before in other areas of your life. Or maybe not. Maybe it's the narcissist smear campaign that brings it out in you. Or maybe it's because you're desperately trying to reconcile the truth from all the gaslighting that you've experienced. Because if someone else can believe it, then you can too. Trust me, I've been there. I've had so many practice conversations, waiting for the moment that somebody would just ask me the right question so I could just dump all the facts on them, all the information. Wait, there's so much you don't know, let me tell you. But really what it was a desire to over-explain, to give somebody, to dump all the facts on somebody, everything that happened, everything that was said. What I was looking for, and what so many of us look for, whether it's from the narcissist or from the flying monkeys in the smear campaign, is someone else to tell us what we know to be true, because we aren't trusting ourselves. So if you are over-explaining, it's an easy fix. You can definitely catch yourself doing it in the moment and pull it back. But in this video, I want to explain the reasons why it's really important to do that for you. So we're going to cover 3 reasons why you should stop over-explaining to the narcissist and about your relationship with the narcissist. And really in all areas of your life, we should not feel the need to over-explain ourselves. If we can trust in ourselves, that should be enough. Okay, so one reason to stop over-explaining is that it's not going to do anything. So you can explain yourself, you can explain your situation, and somebody will walk away with that information and they will do with it what they will, what they're ready to do with it, what they want to do with it. And there's nothing you can do. There's no amount of over-explaining that could make them change their perspective. So if you feel like you're jumping through hoops to try and get somebody to change their point of view, that you're probably over-explaining your situation. So in the example of a smear campaign, so let's just say that a narcissist attacked your character in some way. Maybe they said that you were a liar, and that's something that is very untrue for who you are as a person. So you're talking to someone else who you can tell has heard the other story, has heard the lie about you. And you can tell, you can see in their eyes that they don't believe what you're saying. You can see that they've changed their opinion of you just by the way they're interacting with you. So your instinct might be to just address it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you take it too far, that's when it becomes damaging, because at that point, then you just look guilty. When you're trying too hard to change somebody's mind, it seems like there might be a reason why you're trying so hard. Why do you need that person to change their opinion of you? Most of the time, it really just ends up making you look guilty. So, you can address something like this. Hey, listen, I've heard rumors that this person's going around saying all this stuff about me, and I just want to say none of it is true, and I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, you can ask me, but I'm not going to spend any more time on this. So again, one reason why you should never over-explain yourself is because there's no point in it. You're not going to change somebody's mind by sheer force. It never works. And the second reason why you should never over-explain yourself in any situation is you're hanging your own self-worth on someone else's opinion of you. So again, with the smear campaign, you might feel like you've risen above. You don't care what the narcissist thinks of you anymore, but you care what these other people think. So essentially, you're trading one toxic relationship for another. And now this doesn't necessarily mean that these people are toxic people, but the relationship becomes toxic. When you feel like you have to prove yourself, if you're constantly trying to prove yourself to somebody who does not believe or see your worth, the relationship has become toxic. And it could have just been tainted by a narcissist or somebody who's been saying bad things about you, but it's not a healthy situation for you to be in. If someone does not see your worth, if someone does not see you as valuable to them, that's not somebody you should really spend your time with. And you could ask yourself the question, if they don't see you as valuable, why do they want to spend their time with you? And the third reason why you should stop over-explaining yourself is that, again, I talk about this a lot, but you're putting your focus on the wrong person, whoever it is. If it's not you, you're putting your focus on the wrong person. So when we try to over-explain things or try to get people to see our side of any story, and we feel like it's an uphill battle, right? We've got the treadmill up on max and we're trying to run up it, but yet we're sliding back down with every step. We can ask ourselves, why do we keep doing this? And if we really dig, and I know this is something that I did for myself, if we really dig, we might find that the reason why we're trying so hard to convince this other person of whatever it is because at the same time, we are trying to convince ourselves of that thing. You may feel like you know it to be true. You may feel like there is nothing truer than this fact right here that I am trying to convince you of. But when you look at what that fact is, what you're trying to convince people of, that you were right, that you didn't overreact in a situation, that you put up with more than you should have put up with. Whatever it is, if you start digging into that thing, you may find an insecurity about the situation. So, it could be something like, well, did I try hard enough? Was it me? These are all questions that we ask ourselves in the aftermath of these relationships. But when you find yourself trying to over-explain anything about this relationship to someone else, it's a good opportunity, I think, for you to stop and look at what you're saying, or look at what you want to say. All those practice conversations that you're having in your head. What is it that you're trying to communicate to someone else, and why are you trying to communicate it? Because you might find at the root of it, there's an insecurity within you that if you just deal with, you won't feel the need to get someone else's approval. Because we all know, especially after being in these relationships, that external validation, someone else's approval, is really only ever going to be a band-aid. So there is a reason why so many of us deal with this desire to prove ourselves, to over-explain the relationship and our role in it and the other person's role in it after being in a relationship with someone who has gaslighted you. Because in these relationships, it's not only gaslighting that's present, it's usually also the trauma bond. And when you're trauma bonded, you lose the ability to see things for what they are, or to apply logic to a situation. So essentially, you're leading with emotion. And when somebody's gaslighting you, they're trying to get you to buy into their version of reality, right? And it's not true. Yet on some level, if you're going to stay in this relationship, if you're going to maintain this relationship, you have to kind of believe that version of reality to a certain extent, or another alternate version of reality. Because if you were to believe the truth, if you were to own the truth and fully look at it with nothing else clouding it, you would have to leave. You would have to leave that relationship. And if you're trauma bonded, that's incredibly difficult to do. So there's this internal struggle that's going on while you're in the relationship. You know the truth. The truth never goes away. You know the truth on some level. Some fiber of your being knows what's really going on. And then you have somebody who's giving you an alternate reality. So you buy into it to keep things going. But then when things finally end, when things finally fall apart, you're left trying to reconcile what's real. Can I trust myself? Can I trust what I know as the truth? Because I've bought into this for so long. I've given life to that lie. So a lot of what we're doing in the aftermath, when we're trying to just put all the pieces together and we don't know which end is up, we try to use other people to help us figure it out. And while it's always good to talk to people you can trust about what's been going on, honestly, they're not the ones who can reconcile it for you. It has to be you. It has to come from within you. So as I was preparing for this video, I was thinking about all the ways in which we over-explain ourselves. Another way we could say that is we try to justify ourselves, our actions, our behaviors, our decisions. And there's never really a situation where it's good. I can't really think of a time when I've done that and it has worked out in my favor. And ultimately, whenever we're spending so much effort trying to justify ourselves, we usually end up looking the opposite of the way we want to look. And if you start digging, no matter what the reason is that you're trying to justify yourself or over-explain your decisions, your motives, your situation, usually there's an insecurity that is deeply rooted underneath that over-explaining and all that justification. So whenever I catch myself doing that, I know it's time to take a step back and say, okay, what's really going on here? And that's a place where you can really start to change and grow and get your desired outcome. So if you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. And if you'd like to see more like it, be sure you're subscribed, and I will see you next time.